So at American Pacific, we focus on high-grade assets in the Western U.S. The U.S. has become an excellent place to look and discover big deposits, particularly now under the Trump administration, where they're streamlining permitting and really pushing these assets forward. Our company is uniquely positioned with about a $40 million market cap, but $16 million in cash. I think most companies around our size have, $2 to $4 million in cash. We have significantly more. We actually started last year with $2.6 million in cash and 30% of our two main assets. We ended the year with $16 million in cash, 100% of both assets, and only took 10.3% dilution. So we had a very strong year last year corporately. Michael Gentile, who's doing the fireside chat later on today, is a 14% shareholder of the company as well. I'm going to look backwards for a second and just mention a couple of notable things that have happened to the company before we look forwards and I tell you about what's going to come up. In 2021, the company was ranked by the Wall Street Journal Mining Index as the #1 performing gold stock globally. We've been nominated by S&P Global Platts for numerous awards, including Rising Star Company, CEO of the Year, and then Deal of the Year twice. Mines and Money has nominated us for Collaboration of the Year, at the time with our partners, Rio Tinto. I mentioned those things as sort of looking backwards, but now the key is to look forward as to what's going to happen in 2025 and beyond. You've got a fully funded company with two main assets. One, an asset down in Montana by the name of Madison. It is a very high-grade skarn at surface with a porphyry underneath. We know the porphyry is there because it was drilled into in 2017. It hasn't been chased up since 2020 when 2 holes were drilled at it. To give you an idea, if you look at companies like Hercules, if you look at Atex, these are companies that when they hit into a porphyry, they immediately became $500 to $600 million market caps. We are drilling at that porphyry and targeting that porphyry starting mid-April. So we will be drilling aggressively at those targets. I'll get into that in a moment. But that's sort of the forward upside for the market cap. We also have the Palmer deposit down in Alaska, I should say up in Alaska. It's a combined 16.7 million ton VMS at either 3.5% copper equivalent or 13% zinc equivalent. There are 16 VMS showings, only 4 of them are in the resource, so it has the opportunity to grow substantially. That's a big part of what backs the market cap today, plus the cash. This is Madison, down in Montana. It's a past producing mine. Between 2008 and 2012, it produced 2.7 million pounds of copper. So fairly small scale production, but between 20 and 35% copper, which is a number that really can kind of capture attention. Produced another, I think it was 1,800 ounces of gold at 16 grams per ton gold as well. There's power right to the project. You can drive right up to it. It's an excellent project. This is the location. You can see all the mines around us. We're in this prolific porphyry belt. You've got Butte, which is right close by to us. You've got Golden Sunlight, etc. We purchased this project in 2020. Since then, $6.8 million US has been spent on the project. As mentioned, we're 48 kilometers from the Butte mine, which was one of the largest porphyries in the world. It produced 21 billion pounds of copper, 715 million ounces of silver, and 2.9 million ounces of gold. That's the type of target that we're drilling after, and that drilling starts in roughly a month's time. I mentioned that it was high grade, so here are some of the historical drill highlights. And now these are all within 0 to 200 meters, so this is near the surface. So 30 meters of 25 grams gold, 11 meters of 41 grams gold. If you look at some of the copper numbers, 61 meters of almost 7% copper, 8.5 meters of 40% copper. Really good, long, thick intersections with very, very high grade. One of the nice parts about this skarn is that it's spread out over a 4 kilometer by 2 kilometer strike length, but the focus has just been on the Madison mine. The drilling that we're going to do for the skarn in this upcoming drill program will focus on some of the other old mines that were in production sort of the late 1800s, early 1900s, as we look to tie it all together. Now, I mentioned we're going to drill for the porphyry as well, and that's obviously can be the grand prize. But the opportunity exists here for the skarn to be quite large as well. Here's some of the recent work that we've done on the property. This was done last year, so 32 meters of 3 grams gold, 38 meters of 1.28% copper. If you look at some of the sampling results from underground, that gives you an idea. That was right at the face. So 45% copper, 31% copper, 23% copper. Just some fantastic grades. So as I mentioned, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what this could be. The Hercules deposit is a great example. They'd had about 300 drill holes near surface and then did some deep holes a few years ago and got into the porphyry. The stock then went up 10x and was a $500-600 million market cap. If you look at Fortitude, Fortitude's another great example, although on the skarn side. So my partner on this is a gentleman named Eric Saderholm. He was the former head of exploration in the Western US for Newmont. He was chief geologist at Fortitude. That's a skarn that's relatively near surface. It ends up being a 2.5 million ounce skarn. Now it does vector down to a porphyry as well, which is a 25 million ounce porphyry with 3 billion pounds of copper. Here's another example of it. In the green, you'll see Fortitude. To the right, in the copper color, you can see Madison as we know it today. If you see off to the right, you'll see the America Mine, which is 300 meters away, the Broadway, the Hudson, etc. If you tie that together, that footprint is very similar sized to what we're seeing over at Fortitude. The only difference is Madison is much higher grade. So it's an exciting skarn target, but also the deeper target is very compelling as well. Here's the drilling from 2017. This is when they drilled into the latite porphyry. You can see that rock is hammered and folded. It means something's happening underneath. This is the 4th mineralizing event, so there's at least a 5th mineralizing event under it. One of the nice parts about drilling for this porphyry, it is relatively shallow. So we'll be drilling down 500 to 700 meters to attack this porphyry. The entire program is going to cost us around $1.4 million Canadian, keeping in mind we have about $16 million in cash. So we're certainly well funded for this program and for the programs in the future. We view this skarn as being able to spend sort of done phase 1, we'll do a phase 2 and a phase 3. Total for those programs will be about $5 to $7 million. And at the end of that, we should be able to, with success, we should be able to put a resource on Madison for the first time. There's been about 50,000 meters of drilling here that we have to rely on. There was an awful lot of data that we had, and now we've compiled all of that into one comprehensive 3D model. So we'll be taking the most educated drill shots at Madison that have ever been drilled, starting in the middle of April. I'll touch on this very briefly, but one of the interesting parts about the skarn is all the rock can run. So the jasperoid that you see on the left runs about half an ounce. Typically in Nevada and other places, jasperoid is just an indicator rock, but here it's running half an ounce. The native copper, of course, runs incredibly well. The ones that you see here are running about 11% copper. And then the massive sulfide. So the massive sulfide at somewhere like Fortitude, there's an awful lot of massive sulfide, but it doesn't run at all well. Here, the massive sulfide is actually where we're having the bulk of our success. What you're looking at here is 0.67 ounce per ton gold and just over 11% copper. It's nice because it's very dense rock and you can put a lot of tons in very quickly. So we'll be aggressively going after that as well. That drill program starts the middle of April, and we're certainly fully funded for that. Now I'll talk briefly about Palmer. So the Palmer asset is an asset we now own 100% of. We just recently put out an updated resource here. This project has $116 million US spent on it in the past 10 years. It is a 16.7 million ton VMS. It has 16 VMS showings and only 4 of them are in the resource. So it certainly has a significant opportunity to grow. It's in a very pregnant system. You've got Greens Creek there, you've got Windy Craggy, the AJ mine, all big mines very close to us. Here's some highlights of the updated mineral resource. Combined, it was 16.7 million tons at your choice of 3.5% copper equivalent or just over 13% zinc equivalent. Good, high grade. So over 300 million pounds of copper, over 1.6 million pounds of zinc. I can tell you, with Trump coming in and signing executive orders, Alaska has opened up for business substantially. We're seeing an awful lot of interest in this project. Locally, it carries some incredibly high grades. We purchased this just over 2.5 years ago. Our first drill program, we drilled the highest grade drill holes, copper drill holes ever drilled on the project. 43 meters of 6.5% copper, 24, just under 24 meters of 9% copper, 11% copper equivalent, on and on. So locally, you can create a lot of excitement with these drill holes. I will mention this on Palmer. We have taken a lot of interest in the project since receiving 100% of it back, and it is something that we may transact on. We believe strongly in M&A in the space, both buying assets that are in companies that don't have a lot of capital, don't have a lot of access to capital. We've had a lot of success doing that, but we believe in selling assets as well. When we took back 100% control of Palmer, we were able to take that back, plus receive $10 million US. And what we gave up for that was an option on 50% of the zinc concentrate when the project goes into production. Lots of things to be self-critical on, but we've been quite successful with M&A, and so we'll continue to look at those options as we drive forward. Other assets that are in the company, Ziggurat is right between Kinross's Round Mountain and Newmont's Northumberland. Grassroots style project, but something that we can create a lot of excitement with. Tuscarora was an asset that we started the company with, oldest epithermal system in the state of Nevada. And then Gooseberry, a past producing silver gold mine, produced about 1 million ounce gold equivalent from one vein. We were able to prove up a second vein. We think there could be other veins there as well. Projects that we're not focused on today, but projects that we own and that, again, have the opportunity to transact on to create excitement for the company. Quickly, a bit about the team. Jonas Lang is now president of American Pacific, formerly with Maple Gold Mines. Somebody who's been incredibly helpful for me. He's done over 20 different joint ventures with mid-tiers and majors. Peter Mercer has run Alaska for us, does an excellent job up there. Eric Sederholm, I mentioned. Ken Cunningham is sort of the gray hair on our board. I'm not sure he'd love me saying that, but someone that I rely upon quite a lot. He ran Miranda Gold for years, very successfully. And then Ali Kimzadeh is my business partner, who is former banker at Canaccord. So key takeaways: fully funded, $16 million in cash. In about 1 month's time, we'll start drilling at Madison, and we'll be drilling for a porphyry target that could create an awful lot of excitement for the company. The market cap is backfilled by Palmer, which is a 16.7 million ton VMS with high-grade copper, high-grade zinc up in Alaska. For those of you that speak Mandarin or Cantonese, both Caleb Chan at Haywood Securities and Aaron Chan, who is at Canaccord, know the project, know the company very well, and are people that we do an awful lot of work with. So if you have questions and want someone who can speak Mandarin or Cantonese, these two gentlemen can certainly help you out and can tell you more about the company directly from a broker's perspective. And this is Christina Pilon, who runs investor relations for us. She does an excellent job as well. So if there's questions directly for the company, they can be directed at her. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Warwick. So let's dive into Q&A. So first question is about your management team. So how your management team overall plan to create more shareholder value?
Yeah, certainly by drilling. That's going to be a big piece of the puzzle here. We're fully funded to go and drill Madison and create a lot of excitement with Madison. It's a project we've always loved. Back in a more risk-on market in 2021, when juniors were more in favor, this was a $140 million market cap just based on Madison alone. So we're very excited to go and drill that project, drill some of the deep holes that haven't been drilled, and look to create some real excitement there. Second piece, M&A is a big piece of the puzzle, and it has been for American Pacific. We've had good success with M&A, both on Madison and on a Constantine, which is how we received Palmer. For frame of reference for Palmer, we purchased Madison where we received about 36% of the Palmer asset for $19 million in stock. Since that time, we were paid about $3.5 million in management fee from the previous partner. And then we were just paid 14 million Canadian dollars upon transacting with them, where we were paid 14 million Canadian, took back 100% of the project. As for that, a 50% option on the zinc concentrate, as I mentioned. So we've nearly been paid back in cash what we put out in shares, and now we own 100% of the project. So we focus on M&A. We think it's a great way for the company to grow. There is the opportunity now that it goes in the other direction, where there's potentially someone who wants Palmer, and that's discussions that we'll have going forward.
I see, I see. Next question is maybe a little bit related to the politics. So is Trump a positive factor for fast-tracking the minerals development in US, including your project?
Without doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. Trump has come in and signed executive orders, particularly up in Alaska, to start pushing this agenda that they want Alaska open for business. That's something he's doing aggressively. It's helped tremendously on our end. The level of interest that's coming in towards us now on the Palmer project it's exciting for a company our size to see all this level of interest in Alaska. If you look at the Alaska State Minerals, it lists 7 projects up in Alaska, which includes the Palmer projects as those that are in production and then are those that are advanced assets. So we're sitting with one of the best projects in Alaska at a time where you've got a president who's pushing forward to get homegrown minerals. There's a reason he's putting tariffs on copper and all these other imports coming in. It's because he wants everything made in America. It's exactly what he said he was going to do. And he's certainly doing that very aggressively. It's incredibly helpful for all of our projects, Alaska in particular.